Okay, we are on the top of 61b, discussing the waving. So we just said that this idea to wave the bikurim is Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov. We brought a Gzeira Shava from the Shlomo. Now we're going to say that the Leimanami the Rabbi Yehuda, like, why'd you pick Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov? Rabbi Yehuda also said that. It sounds like you picked one opinion to exclude the other, but why? The Tanya Rabbi Yehuda Omer the Hanachta, you should place it. What does placing it mean? Zutanufa. You should wave it. At Omer Zutanufa Ina Hanacha. How'd you get that placing means waving? Placing means placing, and waving means waving. So Kisha Omer v'hinichu, it says already v'hinichu, he should place it. So that shows you that this placing really means, sounds like you're like placing your hand on it to wave it. V'hinichu harei hanacha Omer. It already says hinichu. Hamani mekayim hanachaso. What do I do with the words? And he should place it if it already mentioned about placing it. So to that we answer and mention it. This is in the 26th chapter of Devarim. So the 10th verse there talks about placing it, but the 4th verse already talked about the Kohen placing it. So what's that other verse? It must be referring to the waving. So now we have Rabbi Yehuda on the books as also saying that the Bikurim need waving, and yet earlier we chose Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov to teach us that he's the opinion that says that the Bikurim need waving. So the question is, why not? Why didn't you choose Rabbi Yehuda? So Amarava Ahobil Upasak Ba Kasab Techila. The reason why is because Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov chooses an earlier part of the verse. So the Vilakach, he learns from Vilakach HaKohen Miyadecha, the word, and he shall take, and from your hand, which tend to be Gzeira Shava. So really both are true. Why did we choose Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov? Because his exposition is an earlier word in the verse, as opposed to Rabbi Yehuda is from the word v'hinichi, shall place. So we chose the other opinion because that finds its way earlier in the verse. That's why we chose it. So another opinion holds, though, Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak Amar Hoyel v'Rav Gavra. At the end of the day, Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov is considered a greater scholar than Rabbi Yehuda. So we're going to have to attribute to one of the two of them. We're going to attribute it to the greater scholar. It sounds like he earned it. Like if you're going to attribute something to a contemporary, or to the Rambam, so you choose the Rambam. He's greater. Yeah. Okay, fine. Now the Mishnah continued and told us that the Emure Sham Yachid v'Chazav v'Shok Shalahan Echad Anashim v'Echad Ha'Anashim v'Echad Anashim b'Yisrael Avalo b'Acherim. So a cryptic line of the Mishnah said that the sacrificial parts of a personal peace offering, its chest and its thighs. Then it said men and women, Jews, but not others. So what's it referring to? Ma'i Kamar. What is the Mishnah saying? Amr of Yehuda Hachi Kamar. This is what it means to say. Echad Anashim v'Echad Nashim Korbanan Ta'un Tnufa. Whether you're a male or a female, your sacrifice requires waving. The question is, who's going to do the waving? So, the Tnufa Atzma v'Yisrael, the waving itself is done by a male, avalo b'dei nashim, and not by a female. Meaning, even though when we say the words b'nei Yisrael, let me point it out. But we're going to say it really later, but we're going to see that the exposition of the word B'nai Yisrael usually means the children of Israel, referring to the whole Jewish people. Mm-hmm. In a few circumstances, the B'nai Yisrael refers to the sons of Israel, not the daughters. Okay. It always usually refers to the children of Israel, referring to everybody. So in this case, we're going to see that it's the B'nai Yisrael that have to do the waving and not the women. Let's see it. Right, the Kohen's going to, right. Let's see. So, Tana Rabbanan, B'nai Yisrael meinifin, ve'eina obdei kochav meinifin. The Jewish people have to do waving and not the non-Jews. B'nei Yisrael menifin ve'ein hanoshim menifos. The B'nai Yisrael have to do the waving and not the women. So now, Amar Reb Yossi, Matzinu shechilek hakasav ben korban Yisrael korban of the kachavim, with the korban nashim b'smicha. We found that the Torah itself differentiates between a sacrifice of a Jew to a sacrifice of a non-Jew, and we found that it separates in terms of a sacrifice between a male and a female, a man and a woman, in terms of smicha, in terms of leaning on the sacrifice. So that's only done by the male. So yachol nachlok b'tnufa. So maybe you would think to say the same thing by the waving, that it should only be done by the men and not by the woman. Maybe they should be comparable. So says Gemara, lo, mali chilek b'smicha she'asmicha b'bailim. Smicha is done, leaning on the offering is done by the owner. Where it's done by the owner, the Torah says done by the male owner, not the female owner. However, nachlok b'tenufa, she'atnufa b'kohanim. Why would you differentiate when it comes to waving? Waving is done by the kohanim. Now, Rashi has a little bit of a problematic line here. He says that the Kohen can always be the messenger for the Jew, for the male or the female. You're not doing the waving, the Kohen's doing it. So why would you exclude? There's no like B'nai Yisrael and not B'nos Yisrael, the men and not the women. The Kohen's your shaliach. The problem is, it's a pretty explicit Gemara that says that a non-Jew can't have the power of agency. You cannot appoint a shaliach. So that's an interesting comment. But either way, the Kohen here can do it for the woman, for the or for the man. So why? Just because over there the Torah excluded them, or it expounded that it's only a man does the leaning and not the woman. Why would you think the same thing by the waving? It's totally different. The waving is done by a Kohen. So therefore we say, Im kain ma tam lomar b'nei Yisrael. So why does it specifically specify b'nei Yisrael? So it says b'nei Yisrael manifin ve'ein ha'ovdei kochavim manifin. B'nei Yisrael manifin ve'ein ha'nashim manifos. Specifically, you would never have thought logically to learn out from Samicha that it should be exclude the women. However, when it says b'nei Yisrael, it says that only someone who's offering is a second. One second. Okay, I thought it meant that a Kohen always does the waving. But it could be here. It means that when it comes to the waving, the B'nai Yisrael themselves can do the waving, the males, but the women have to do it only with the Kohen.
Teaches only the Kohen performs the waving.
So Rashi seems to say, but it seems like it's controversial. Okay. Others say that no, what it means is they're excluded from the category of waving. A Kohen's can do the waving, however, the woman is excluded from that. Yeah. Okay.
Anybody who offers appears in the same verse about extends the law to Tenyufa to include those who are not of Jewish lineage. Term of waving by the Kohen is derived from the term they offer, while that of the owner is derived from the phrase "his hand shall bring it."
Yeah, it sounds like not so simple. Sometimes the Kohen could do the women's wave to do the waving of her korban too. Depends on the korban. It sounds like okay. Need to look into it more. Fine. Tanya Idach, another Bryce says as follows: B'nei Yisrael, ainly ela b'nei Yisrael, geirim v'avadim mishucharim. This is very interesting that it says that the by waving that there's a requirement for the Jews to wave, but then it's looking for another verse to include converts and freed servants, which are also converts. Once a non-Jewish servant becomes a non-Jew becomes a servant in Eved, when he gets freed, that's also conversion. And that they're bothered by the converts, they're always included as part of the Jewish people, obviously. But there's something here unique that you would have thought for some reason that you have to have, it's more Jewish lineage versus not. But usually we never differentiate like this. Of course, a convert and of course, emancipated, a freed servant, of course, included in Bnei Yisrael. That's always like that. Over here specifically, you would have thought for some reason that the waving is only for someone who has also Jewish lineage. Why would you have thought that? Don't know. Look at other places. But that's what it says.
Included converts with slaves, were Gentile slaves, or
when they become free, they become converts.
Okay, but not Eved slaves.
No, yeah, he'll be exempt. I don't know, maybe they have a footnote there. Did they have a footnote?
No, it didn't say. I was just curious. Oh, the Cohens are going.
Okay.
The law of Tenufa. What is the law of Tenufa?
Waving.
Oh, that's the waving.
Yeah. Yeah, what does it say?
Since the Cohen's requirement is derived from the Gleizer Shabbat hands-on, as we have seen above, top of the Amud, the word Hamachari is not actually needed to teach us the law of the Tenufa regarding the Kohen. Thus, the word is available for exegetical purposes. To teach that the convert must also perform Tenufa.
Right.
That's the end of
okay. So special addition that a convert also performs a tenufa. The question is that Tosfos already asked that, in most places they're always included when we say Bnei Yisrael. They're never excluded. So what's unique over here that we need a special exposition? So Minayin Tamalomar Hamakriv. Says Hamakriv, the one who brings, including them also. So Oeinu Ella Zek Kohen Hamakriv. Maybe you'll say that it's only the Kohen that brings. But not anybody else. Kishu Omer Yado Tiviena, Hare Bailam Omer. Sounds like the hands of the owners are going to do the waving. So how do you have the hands of the owners and the hands of the Kohen do the waving? That's what we had yesterday. The Kohen literally means place his hands under the hands of the Bailim, but we pointed out yesterday that can't be, because that's an interposition, that's a chatzitza. Rather, the Kohen's hands going to go on top and the owners on bottom. And then they wave. Okay, next page. How exactly does the waving take place? Ketzad Ose Maniach Emur and Al Pisa Sayad. He takes the sacrificial parts of the offering and places it on the palm of his hand. So first you have the sacrificial parts of the offering. Then the Chazav V'Shok Alehen. You have the breast and the thigh on top of the sacrificial parts. And then the Kol Makom Sheish Lechem Halechem B'Lamala. Whenever you have bread's going to be on top. I think we're going to have a four-way debate about this. We're going to have bread on top. Big sandwich. So when do you have bread? Heicha Amar Papa Meluim. In the inauguration sacrifices, they had bread, and that bread would go on top. Now, what's the reason for it to be in this order? So my taima, what's the reason? Ilayim Mishum B'Ksiv Shok Hatruma V'Chazeh Hatnufa Al Ishe Hachalavim Yaviu Lahanif Tnufa. Maybe because the verse itself says that you're going to have the thigh, and then you're going to have the breast on top of the fats. So on top of the fats. So that's why the breast and the thigh is going to be on top of the sacrificial parts. But the Haksivit, the pasuk says, Es hachelev ala chaza yivienu. It sounds like the chalev, which is the forbidden fats, but it's covering over the sacrificial parts. That's going to be on top of the chaza. That's going to be on top of the chest. So which one is it? The chest is on top of the fats, which is really the sacrificial parts, or the other way around? The sacrificial parts are on top of the chest. So which way do you go? So if that verse was teaching you that really the you put the chest and the thigh on top of the sacrificial parts, that seems to contradict another verse that says you do it in the reverse order. So Amar Abaye, Hahu de Maisile, Kohen mi beis ha midbachim. This beis midbachim is a place where they would slaughter and skin the animals next to the altar, and they would prepare them. So when the Kohen brings it from there, so then what would happen? You would have the fats. You have the fats on top of the thigh, and then when he gave it to the Kohen that's going to do the waving, that the thigh would be on top of the sacrificial parts. Right. So the thigh and the chest would be on top of the fats, which are on top of the sacrificial parts. It says you should put the chalavim, which are the fats, which are on top of the sacrificial parts, on top of the thigh. So the other way around. Alachazos put on top of the thigh. So on top of the chest. So now this we're giving to another Kohen. The Kohen who did the waving gives it to the Kohen who's going to bring it up onto the altar. And then we have that those parts that were on bottom are going to be flipped over now on top. So it goes from basically when it comes out of the slaughtering area, so you have the sacrificial parts, which have those chalavim, the fats on it, they're going to be on top. When the Kohen does the waving, he flips it over, and now the chest and the thighs on top. When it goes to the next Kohen, he goes back the way it was originally, that the sacrificial parts are going to be on top. Yeah. The Hakamashlan, very interesting. And this teaches you that you need 3 Kohanim. Why 3 Kohanim? Mishum Dichsiv, a concept we use a lot in halacha, Birov Am Hadras Melech. That Birov Am, with the majority, the multitude of the nation, so the king is honored. The beauty of the king, the more people, right? Right. Having a minyan where you have more people versus splitting up into 2 minyanim, making Kiddush Friday night. Each one makes their own Kiddush, or one for everybody. You know, the more people together in something, it's more of a beauty to the king. Yeah. And by the way, the Rov Am is interesting. That's only referring to 3 people. You don't need so many to have a multitude of people.
Okay.
So that's interesting. Yeah. So, yeah. Okay. Right. We have by a Zimun after benching is also 3 people.
Right.
It's interesting. So, okay. It says now the Shtei Alechem and the 2 breads on Shavuos and the 2 lambs on Shavuos. So they will also be, as the Mishnah, they also be waived. Right. He's going to waive them. Yeah. It says the Shtei Alechem, the Shnei Kivzetzers, that they also get waived. And in the Mishnah says that you put the bread on top of the lambs and you put your hands under, and then you wave it in all 4 directions. Seemingly, it says at least inward, outwards, up and down. Yeah. So now the Shavuos time, you have these 2 breads and the 2 lambs. So now, Tana Rabbanan says the Brisa, the Kohen should wave. He should wave them on the lechem habikurim, on the bread which you're bringing from the grain, meaning you're having the lambs with the bread being waved. Sounds like, I think here we're going to have 4 opinions. Here, sounds like you put the lambs on top of the bread. Yaniach kvasim al gabe halechem. Talmud lomar al shnei kvasim. You put it on the lambs. So it sounds like put the bread on the lambs. Well, hold on. I al shnei kvasim, yachol lechem al gabe kvasim. If you're putting it on the lambs, it sounds like you're putting the bread on the lambs. Talmud lomar al lechem habikurim. But then the other verse says the lambs go on the bread. So nishtakil akoz. Literally, it's like the verse is equally telling me opposing things. Which one goes on what? Does this go on the bread or does the bread go on the lambs? The eini yodeya in lechem agabe kvasim b'im kvasim al gabe lechem. Another good example of without the oral Torah. What in the world would you do? How would you do it? So we say mamatzino. One of the ways we expound things is we look at other places and pattern after there. So mamatzino b'kol lechem lemala. Bread's always on top. Afkan lechem lemala. So here too, the bread's going to be on top. Where is the bread on top? What's another place you have bread and it's on top? Hey, Amar Papa, bimiluim, in by the inauguration offering that we had earlier. That's the first opinion. The bread goes on top of the lambs. Opinion number 2. Rabbi Yossi ben Meshulam Omer. Rabbi Yossi, son of Meshulam, says, Kivasim lemala, that the lambs are on top. The lambs are on top, but the verse says the bread's on top. Umani mekayim al shnei kvasim. It's on the lambs. It just means to say lahotzi shiva. There's 7 other lambs you're going to bring on Shavuos. Those are not going to be included in the waving. So when it says on, it doesn't only mean on, like physically on, but it means you're going to bring it with these 2 lambs to exclude the other 7. But the lambs will go on top. So here we have 2 opinions. Either the bread's on top or the lamb's on top. Opinion number 3. Hanina ben Chak Omer lechem. You're putting the breads in between the thighs of the lambs. Umenif, and then you are waving it. And then you could fulfill both of these verses. Because you're going to put the you lie the lamb down.
The lambs, the verse from the first offering bread teaches that the lambs are.
And you put the bread on the bottom thigh. So you picture a lamb, yeah. You place it down and you put the bread in between the 2 thighs, so it's under one but on top of the other, and therefore you fulfill the verse. So to that though, Amar Rebbe said this is not proper. Lifnei melech basar adame nosen kain. You'd never serve a human king bread stuck in between the thighs. That would never happen. You think in front of the king of all kings, Hashem, you do the same thing? Ella, what do? You put them next to each other, and then you wave them. So 4 opinions, either bread on top, lambs on top, bread in between, or just next to. Now, but it says the word al. Al means on top. Some say Rav Chisda, Rav Chisda, some say Rav Chisda. Rebbe, who says that al here means next to, goes according to his reasoning, which is that sometimes the word al can mean it next to, not always on top, and we're going to prove it right now. The Amar al besamuch. Al can mean next to. The Tanya, it says that it says by the weekly bread, you put the frankincense. When it's at the alam levona zakah, you're going to put on the pyre this frankincense. So what it means here is, that you're going to put. You're not putting the frankincense on top of the bread, you're putting it next to it. So, Rebbe Omer al besamuch. That al here means when you're putting the frankincense, you're putting it not al on the weekly bread, on the lechem apanim, you're putting it next to it. Ata Omer al besamuch, you're saying al means next to, einu al mamish. Maybe al means mamish, literally on top of the bread. Kishu Omer, when it says by the kaporis. So Besam Teshamas, last week's parsha, Besam Teshamas Aaron Ha'edus, Vesakos Al Aaron Esakaporis. It sounds like you're putting this curtain, which is by the entrance to the Holy of Holies, but it says you put it on the Aron, on the Aron, what's Aron in English? On the Aron, on the Holy. The ark, that's what it is, on the ark. It sounds like you put the curtain on the ark, but we know that's not true. where does it goes next to the ark? It can't be on the ark. It's standing vertically, right? So it's our curtain here is not okay. Well, here it's hanging off the ark, but yeah, but here there was a curtain that comes in, so it's next to the ark. So there you have it. That the word al could mean next to. That's our proof that al means besamach. So according to Rabbi, 3 places that al means next to, by the curtain next to the aron, the frankincense that's next to the bread, and our case, al would also mean that the bread is next to the lambs. Okay, this is interesting. We pointed out that if the Mishnah says that you have to wave it in all directions, inward, outward, up and down. So I said it reminds me of lulav. So the Gemara is going to say, why is the waving molich umevi? So molich means you're going outwards, and umevi is you're bringing inwards. You're doing that lemisha haruchos shalom, to the one who the winds belong to him, the one who blows inwards and outwards, referring to Hashem. Maila umoyrid, you do it up and down. Why? That's to symbolize lemisha hashamayim va'aretz shalo, that the one whose heavens, which are above, and the earth, which is down here, belong to him. So both the heavens and the earth and the winds are being acknowledged that they're Hashem's while you're waving the sacrifice. The Ma'arava Masnu Hachi, in Eretz Yisrael in the west, they taught it like this. Why are you doing the outward and then inward, bringing it in? Kidei la'atzor ruchos raos, in order to stop the evil winds that come from all 4 directions. Mala umorid, up and down. Kidei la'atzor talalim ra'im, in order to stop the evil dews. Probably somehow the dew that's too much, or it's dangerous, or either it's a spiritual dew, or it's referring to maybe when there's rain at the wrong time is dangerous. But it's referring to the evil dews. So either it means a spiritual one, or it means really a if rain comes at the wrong time. And why it says tal, not geshem, I don't know exactly, but
yeah, I don't see that.
Yeah, okay. Amar Rabbi Yossi bar Rav Avin, Zos Omers, I learned from here that Shiare Mitzvah Akmin Esa Puranus. There's a certain category called, it's like the residue, like the leftover of the mitzvah, meaning the primary part of the sacrifice is the blood. That gives you the atonement. The waving is secondary to that. But yet I see that even the, so to speak, leftover, the extra part of the mitzvah, or the remnant part, the secondary part of the mitzvah, that is still strong enough to prevent punishment from coming. Because by waving, you're preventing all these winds and rains, evil spirits from coming. So even though that's not the primary mitzvah, but it's still powerful enough to stop punishment. The hatanufa shari mitzvah he about rukos ros. Look, the waving is called a remnant, not extra remnant, or not the primary part of the mitzvah, and yet it can stop the winds and the rain and the dews. Amarabba v'chein lulav. Lulav is the same thing. The mitzvah of the lulav is to lift it up. That's it. Once you pick it up, you're done. That's the mitzvah. We wave it, the secondary part, and yet we do it in all directions. Why? Same reason. The chein lulav, similarly a lulav. Rav Yaakov mamtile umaisile umechave hachi v'amar gira be'enei desitna. So Rav Achabar Yaakov, he would mamtile umaisile, he would go and bring it out. Bring it outward and bring it inwards. And he would sort of stab it, and he would say, this should be a stab in the eyes of the Satan. Yeah. And to that, the Gemara says, no, Valav Milsihi. Don't do that. Why? Don't start up with the Satan. Not worth it. You might get him a little too excited. And that's not good. Okay. Taner Rabbanan, Zivche Shalmei Tzibor, the communal piece of sacrifice, referring to, I think, on Shavuos, right?
Two lambs
Two lambs on Shavuos. Te'unin tnufa la'achar shchita. They need waving after the slaughtering. V'tnufasan kimo shehein. And you're going to wave it when it's still whole and not, not chopped up yet. Divrei Rebbe, that's Rebbe's opinion. Chachamim omrim b'chaz of a shok. No, you only do the waving with the thigh and the chest. So b'mai kamiflagi, what is this debate? Rav Chisda, Rav Hamnuna, Rav Hamnuna, Rav Chisda, same thing as before. Some say Rav Chisda to Rav Hamnuna, some say Rav Hamnuna to Rav Chisda. So whenever you learn a principle from somewhere else, the question is, do you learn it from somewhere else and it follows those rules in that section of the Torah? Or you're learning the principle from somewhere else, but you'll apply it in your section with your own rules. That's called Bidon Mina Mina. Bidon Mina Uki Basra Kamiflagi. Bidon Mina, you take it from there, and from there you apply those rules, like from or Bidon Mina Uki Basra. No, you're taking the concept from over there, but the details of the application halachos is going to be based on the local rules. So let's see. Rabbanan Sari, the rabbis told Don Mina Mina. We're going to learn from over there. Where's over there? Just like a personal peace offering, to an tenufa requires snufa le'achar shchita after slaughtering. So to the communal, the two lambs on Shavuos, it's going to require waving after slaughtering. Umina, and learn from a private peace offering. Just you only wave it with the chest and the thigh. So to here you only wave it with the chest and the thigh. The Rebbe Sava, Rebbe hold, Don Minav, Oki Basra, that you learn from there the idea, the principle, but you're going to apply the details from your own section. Just like a personal peace offering requires waving. After slaughtering, so to the communal peace offering, the two lambs, also require waving after shchita. However, that you got from over there. But now, which parts you do, what you wave, that will only be determined by a communal offering. We're no longer going to base all the details off the personal peace offering. The uki basra, hasam hu dechaz v'shok. Over there, it's referring to the chest and the thigh. Aval hacha kemos shehein. Aval here, it's the way it is. Kemos shehein b'chayim. The way they are. I'm taking out the word chayim. The way they are, meaning the way they are whole. You do the whole animal. You don't only do the thigh and the chest. Okay, next page. Rav Papa Amar the Kuli Alma. No, Rav Papa argues and says the Kuli Alma domino mina. Everyone holds. There's no debate here about that. Everyone holds that when you learn from the section of the personal peace offering, you're going to follow its rules. Well, if that's true, then why are you waving the entire animal? You should only wave the chest and the thigh. The Hainu time of the Rebbe ki hasam. Just like over there. What's over there? Ma hasam davar shematana lekohen. Just like there, you're waving the gift, which is to the Kohen, which is the thigh and the chest. So too here the entire two lambs, the whole lamb is a gift to the Kohen. So you are learning from over there. Just like over there, which part do you wave? The part that's going to be given to the Kohen. There it happens to be the other parts offered on the altar. When it comes to the two lambs, the entire thing is going to is a gift to the Kohen, and therefore the whole thing gets waved. So therefore, really, everyone agrees that you are learning the details from over there. The question is exactly which details are you learning? So there you're waving not so much the parts of the offering; it's more the gift to the Kohen. So to here you will wave the gift to the Kohen, which are the two lambs. Ravina Amar, no. The Kuli Amar, the exact opposite. Don minav oki basra. Everyone holds that you're going to apply the main principle from over the waving, but the details are going to be governed by your locale, by the communal offering, by the two lambs. So if that's true, then why do the rabbis hold you only wave the chest and the thigh? should say you should waive the whole thing. The Hainu time of the Rabbanon Kashal Mehem Ribuyahu. When talking about the personal offering, so it says Shal Mehem in the plural, multiple peace offerings. That comes to include even communal peace offerings, such as the 2 lambs. There's a special exposition by the personal peace offering, which includes this one as well. Okay, the next one is one long section at the end of the page. So maybe we'll start with that tomorrow. Oh, good.